this video, you will be wise.
And we love it. That's why a guy can sit in front of a TV and go. It glows. Of course, this drives our wives nuts because they'll come up and say, "Stop that! You can't possibly be watching anything!" I'm not. Go away. Now, they've actually measured this. The University of Pennsylvania a couple of years ago did a study and discovered that men have the ability to think about absolutely nothing and still breathe. You know, they connected all the wires and stuff like that and watched the brain activity, then all of a sudden, I think he's dead. Huh? You know, women can't do it. They can't do it. Their minds never stop. And they don't understand the nothing box. And it drives them crazy. Because nothing drives a woman more crazy or makes her feel more irritated than to witness a man doing nothing. Now, one of the biggest revelations I get out of women is this whole nothing box issue. They just, everything's starting to make sense. And I've had women say, oh, it's nothing. Well, can I go in his nothing box with him? No! Why not? Because then it's something. Besides, you'll walk in there and go, You know, this place could really use some pictures. Nice little table over here, some flowers. Is it? No! Nothing! Get out! We don't want nothing. Now, this handles the way men and women handle stress. Okay? When a man is stressed out, all he wants to do is run to his nothing box. This is how we unwind. The last thing we want to do when we're stressed out is talk about it. We don't want to talk about it. We just want to. Of course, it just drives her nuts, you know. A woman will see a man in that vegetative state and she'll come up and go, "What you thinking about?" Nothing. Well, you got anything about something? No, I was thinking about nothing. In fact, I was on a roll till you showed up. Go away, all right? Because that's how he handles stress. He just, Now, when a woman is stressed out, she has to talk about it. If she doesn't talk about it, her brain will literally explode. So she'll start just, I don't know, might have something to do with this. Not going to have to do that. You know, I never thought about this. My brother over here said to me, and I know men who run from their wives when they do this. They do. I say, well, why do you run from her? He says, because I don't know what to tell her. I said, dear God, man, who told you to tell her anything? She wants you to tell her anything. See, a lot of guys, they feel obligated when you start explaining all your stress, they feel obligated to fix you. Right? Because that's what a man does. A man only tells his troubles to another man in hopes that that man will help fix it. Okay? But she's not a man. And you try and fix her, she's gonna kill you. All right? She doesn't want your advice. She doesn't want your help. She wants you to shut up and listen. And a couple of ladies, that's right, you tell him. Tell him to shut up. They like that. Now, I had one guy tell me, he said, man, if she just tell me how she feels. I said, she doesn't know yet. This is what he means. So that's how she figures out how she feels, by connecting this wire to that wire, this wire, and so. Now, because they love each other, they offer to each other their answer, their solution. A man senses his wife is stressed out. He loves the girl. He offers to the girl his best and finest solution. Or just quit talking about it. Just quit thinking about it. Yeah. And that's when she starts reaching for the knives and stuff. And she's going to stab you if you keep it up, okay? Now, a woman, she senses her husband's all stressed out. She loves him. Therefore, she offers to him her best and finest solution. Talk to me. Why won't you talk to me? Go away. He doesn't want to talk to you. Leave him alone. He will not die. He's not a woman. All right? I know you've got to talk it through or you're going to be twisted inside. He's not like that. Leave the boy alone. You tell he's stressed out, just let him go to his nothing box. Just stay away. Stay away. Okay? And it's hard for us to understand that because we think so differently from each other. Now, not only does this affect the way that we respond in stress and stuff, the way our brains are wired also affects the way that we use words. Okay? Men tend to use less words than women. That's because the women have all the wires they're trying to connect, and they've got to explain each and every connection. Now, they say that if a man needs to speak 10,000 words in a day, a woman needs to speak 20,000. My wife says, that's because we kind of repeat everything we say. To which I responded, huh? Where is my darling redhead? Is she around? Come up. I want you to meet my wife, Debbie. Come on up here. People say, well, doesn't she talk too? Nope. Not to you anyway. She talks to me, but she won't talk to you because she doesn't want to talk to you. That's all. Where's my tablet? I want to show you something about the whole words thing. They actually measured this. They went in and studied children and babies and found out, they actually went and took cameras and put them in nurseries and analyzed the pictures later. And they noticed the pictures of the little girls, right from the get-go, their mouths are just going. It's true. It's true. And then they analyzed the pictures of little boys, and they're just... They're still thinking, what was that? I want to go back. I don't get it. Okay? Then they went and they recorded conversations of little boys and girls on playgrounds. And they went back and analyzed them. And they discovered that little girls loved to talk. They were very articulate, loved to use full sentences, just loved to talk. And if they didn't have anybody to talk to, they were perfectly content to talk to nobody. And they were just just complete sentences. Then they analyzed the conversations of the little boys, and only about 55% of it was intelligible. That's what they were saying. Yes. That's conversation to a man. Okay? Now, not only do we use different amounts of words, words can mean different things to men and women. For example, now to most men, 5 minutes means 5 minutes. To a lot of women, it can be an indefinite period of time. Are you ready yet? 5 more minutes! As we discussed, men understand nothing. Women don't understand the significance of nothing. If a woman says nothing, look out, it's something. Oh, dude, man, I don't know what happened. What happened? I don't know. I asked my wife what she was upset about. What'd she say? Well, she said nothing. Get out of the house, man! Run now! Get out! Now, this is not a word, it's a vocalization. It's a sigh. Now, when a man sighs, it means everything is good with life. When a woman sighs, it means you are an idiot. Now, when a man says, go ahead, he's being polite. When a woman says, go ahead, she's giving you the opportunity to explain whatever stupid thing it was you just did. But you need to be very careful in the explanation, because it's very likely to be followed by a sigh. Which will lead to an argument over nothing. And then you ain't gonna have sex again for at least 5 minutes. Men's brains, women's brains, just the way they work, Women's brains, they got... Women's brains come with lots of extra RAM. So they can remember the details of everything. Men's brains come with only the minimum basic requirements to keep us breathing and eating. Okay, that's good. That's why men, a lot of men, we don't hang on to lots of details. They don't stick with us. You know, when an event happens, we just categorize it as an event. All right. Whereas women, it's not just the event, it's all the details connected with an event. You'll run into this when a friend of your family or something will call and you know, she just had a baby. And then you tell your wife, oh, so-and-so's called, they had the baby. And she'll say, well, what was it? And he says, well, it was a baby. Well, what kind of baby? I don't know. It's a baby. What difference does it make? Oh, how long was it? Well, I don't know. How long? How tall? How many? You know, how much did it weigh? I don't know. Under 20 pounds. What? You know, just. But this detail. You know, a woman will come up to a guy and say, "How was your day?" And then we go to the RAM, and all it's there is that it was a day. and we say it was fine. And she'll say, well, what happened? And we go to the RAM and there's nothing there. And we panic. And we go, nothing. But women, they've got all this, you know, that's why when a guy retells a story, it's usually pretty much just a bottom line kind of thing. What happened? This happened, that happened, we're done. When a lot of women share what happened, they relive the event in excruciatingly painful detail. I mean, you are there. Yeah. And it can drive, you know, couples can really fight over this. My wife and I still fight over this one. You know, this just drives us crazy. You know, she just, you know, sweetheart, when your husband asks the question, what did the plumber say? He really doesn't want to know what he said. Well, I said, how you doing? He said, it's fine. I said, it was a pretty nice day we're having. He said, yeah. He said, got any kids? No, what did he say? Bottom line, you know. Details. Men's brains, women's brains. It also affects not only the words we use and stuff, but also it affects how we listen. You go, yeah. Women listen. But we listen too, we're just different. A lot of women say, you know, men's problems, they got selective listening. You know what that is, right? That's when the wife will say something like, honey, go to the store, lay down the mulch, wash and wax the car, get the kids at school, rent some videos, and finish the rest of the dishes. And then he runs that through his selective filter. And all he hears is, honey, go lay down and get some rest. Okay? But that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm really talking about is the difference between single tasking and multitasking. By and large, again, interpolate for your relationships. Again, not everybody's the same way, but by and large, men are single taskers. We do one thing, and we do it pretty well. Women can handle lots of things. Guys aren't wired that way. That's why it's not a good idea to put a man in charge of more than one kid at a time. You know, we can handle the one. Well, sweetheart, you're doing such a good job with Johnny. Wow. Well, where are the rest of the kids? We got other kids? But man, we just very I'm a classic single tasker. I'm so bad, I'll be going along and I'll forget the one thing I was doing. I'm completely lost. I need to reboot my brain. Say, whoa, where am I? You know. But men, generally speaking, we do it. Now, what we do very well. One of the reasons that men are so good at what they do is because of this ability to completely focus on just one task. Men usually will rise to the top of any profession, even those dominated sometimes by women. The best hair designers in the world, a lot of times, are men. Best cooks in the world, men. Why is that? Because we have this unique ability to focus on just one thing and do it extremely well. Okay? Women are wired differently. You know, they're just and you know, my wife can be, you know, in the living room, watching TV, reading a book, making knickknacks, and talking on the phone all at the same time. It's just amazing to me. Of course, I'll come in and I'll assume she's not watching TV. Hey! What? I was watching that. How can you be watching that? You're making knickknacks and such. Put it back. You know. We're just. Now this affects the way that we listen, because when a man is doing something.
Stay tuned for more video from Love and Legacy. God bless you.